Hey and welcome to Neverwinter with Aragon. So with module 25, again this is a previous server, everything open to change, we're getting some new Insignia bonuses along with a change to the Warlord Inspiration. Warlord Inspiration increases the damage of your active striker companion. So to start things off, we're getting the new zone, Menzoberranzan, and with it we're getting the new campaign, Menzoberranzan. And here we can do some quests, we can do some events and heroics, whatnot, and we can get our hands on some new insignias. You can get them in green for a little bit cheaper cost there with regards to the reagents, and you can get them in blue. And then you can go for upgrade them there, of course, all the way to mythic. Now, as far as I can tell, just by looking at the item levels when they're on green and blue, they won't have any more item level than, let's say, our current mythic ones. So there's no real need to obtain these other than stat variety. For example, these precision ones instead of like brutality for accuracy and crit strike. And then for a healer, you could take these rhythm ones, and for a tank, you could take these balance ones. And to actually obtain the reagents for these, you can see you need some astral diamonds, and then you also need these glyph of wardings, and you also need these Menzoberranzan mint, which is just the coins. And so every time you do a quest within this zone, you will obtain those glyphs. You can see, for example, we get 12 glyphs for here, and for a weekly you get 60 glyphs. And then if you go do your heroic encounters, the small ones will give you 10 and the big ones will give you 20. And then you need the Menzoberranzan mint, so you'll need like 45 of it, and you can get a maximum of 100 per week just by again doing your questing. Right now we've hit the maximum of 100, and so we cannot obtain any more by doing the quests. So you are time gated on how many and how often you can get them as well, just like with the enchantments. Now, very interestingly, we have some new Insignia bonuses before we move on to testing Warlord Inspiration, which we can see when we go to the Insignia bonus list and we have a look at all of the stable Insignia bonuses. Now, we do not have the ability to actually make any use of them because we do not have a mount. You may notice quickly, a little bit odd, there are 4 insignias for this insignia bonus. That means upcoming we'll be getting mounts that will have 4 insignia slots. Right now, the maximum is to have 3 slots. They used to have back in the day that lesser variants of mounts like your greens and blues would only have like 1 or 2 slots. Now everything has 3 slots, and it seems that we're going to be introducing new mounts with 4 slots. Very interesting. And right now there's no way we can actually make use of these, so it's just a preview of what might come to be. And ultimately we would have to be getting entirely new mounts in order to make use of these. And so we can have a look. That's 4 insignias, meaning overall you can make use of more insignias. If you were to have all 5 of these new insignia bonuses, then that's an additional 5 insignias. So that's an additional 5 times 500 item level. That's 2,500 more item level, plus then the stat optimization they can give you. So not exactly something you'll want to miss out unless the insignia bonuses don't fit for you. And we can have a look at them. First of all, we have Protector's Covenant, which is literally the flip side, the opposite to Assassin's Covenant. Basically, it will reduce your offensive stats and increase your defensive stats. So that's a great benefit for a tank. And it will also give 1,500 versus Assassin's Covenant giving only 1,000. You'll most likely be able to stack that 3 times. Then there's Lionheart's Preservance. Basically, whenever you're reduced to 20% of your hit points, you instantly recover a bunch of stamina, 10%, and 20% of your hit points. That's pretty powerful, but a cooldown of 30 seconds. And then you have Master's Precision. When your stamina is between 25% and 75%, you gain 3,000 critical strike. That's pretty interesting, to be honest. I'm not sure how well people could make use of that, but yeah, you might want to just have to keep your stamina at around 50%. That's feasible for this benefit. I'm not sure how practical that is though. You might just be losing out on damage by shifting around the place. Just those few seconds may not, or that split second may not make up for a 3000 boost to your critical strike. Of course, you can stack this then again. The next one will give you 1500 and the next one will give you like 750. So you can ultimately gain like just over 5000 stats from this. But I don't think we really need ratings that much anymore, especially with this kind of gear that gives a ton of ratings. Otherwise, we have Accursed Resolve. Basically, you gain 2500 power and deflect when you're inflicted with a debuff. This could be very useful in certain fights where you know you're going to have a debuff. Certain boss fights, like if we're in the advanced dungeon, it's not here right now on the previous server, but the Temple of the Spider, as soon as you take like a red line or a green line, you're inflicted by a debuff, and this should then give you the bonus. So I guess it could be useful and feasible in some fights. Then there's Tactician's Restoration, just giving a bunch of incoming healing and outgoing healing when your action points are full. Don't really see that as too feasible. And then Survivalist Expertise, you gain 2500 forte, but the negative conditions from Revive Sickness are increased by 50%. That is a bit of a yikes. That would mean if you're using the Revive Sickness boon to reduce it by 50%, you're basically increasing it by 50%. So normally without Revive Sickness, you take a hit of 10% to your damage and 10% to your hit points. So with the boon, that gets reduced to 5%. And then if you were to die while having this Survivalist Expertise, you would then reduce your damage by 7.5%. I don't really think it's feasible for any challenging content. And then that is it with regards to the new Insignia bonuses. But they have changed Warlord Inspiration. How many should you be using of these now? As I'll just switch character, and we can see we currently have 5 of them slotted. With 5 of them slotted, you can see that the Insignia bonus Warlord Inspiration is saying it gives me 15%. But it doesn't change when we, let's say, switch that out to, let's say, Gladiator's Guile. Warlords will still say 15%. We switch out another one and it still says 15%. We switch out a third one there, and now you can see it just says 12% when we have 2. And then if we switch another one out, we can see it now says it gives us 8%. So what this means is that like a 1 Warlord Inspiration should give 8%, while when you use 2 of them, you should get 12%. And when you use 3 of them, you should get 15%. And any more than 3 shouldn't change that effect in any way. Much like other Insignia bonuses, they should only stack 3 times. And we'll test that and back that up with some math using our Harper Bard in our dummy training area. But if we were to look on the live server right now how Warlord Inspiration is working, we can see that it just simply says it would boost your damage from your companion by 20%. And if you take away one of them, we only use 1, it doesn't change the bonus at all. So right now on the live server with module 24, the way it's working is like this, as I've shown in previous videos. And basically, if you were to use like ×2 warlords, you'd gain a 10% damage bonus to your companion. And if you were to use 3, you'd actually reduce it down to only just a 5% bonus to your companion. So it was best always to just use 2 of them, no more, because it was a bit wacky, and only using 1 only gave you like a 3% damage boost. So it was kind of bugged to all hell. But now we go to module 25, and again, this is a preview server still open to change, and we test them all out. We test it using 1, we test 2, test 3, we test with and without the mythic companion enchantment, and we can see these are the new results. This is without the companion enchantment, so these are the damage values with the amount of warlords, and we can see the damage gain here. So just using 1, you gain like a 7.5% damage boost. Just using 2, you gain like a 3.5% damage boost added on to the 7.5. And if you use 3, you gain like a 2.5% added on to those previous bonuses. And so ultimately, using 3 gives you a 13% boost to the companion's damage, and using 2 is only like just 10.5, and using 1 is only like 7.5. So now it could be worth it to actually run 3 of them, but keep in mind that's without the enchantment. Now when we go to test with the companion enchantment, The way we're testing is just against this boss dummy here, having our Harper Bard attack this dummy here and just getting the act log of that. Since he deals consistent damage on his hits, it's very easy to exactly see how much damage he is dealing if you increase it or reduce it. And you could see that these were the new damage values, and again this was the damage gain, very similar with then the total gain, just over 13%. It seems to be slightly different, as you can see from with no enchantment to using the enchantment, that it actually gives slightly more damage. A little bit odd there, but ultimately, yes, they fixed Warlord Inspiration that you can actually use 3 of them for the maximum gain of 13.32% to your companion's damage. Now that's still not exactly true to what it shows here via the tooltip of saying 15% when you use 3 of them. At least it's closer than what it was assumedly before. Whether that's actually worth it for you or not is kind of up to you, and I'll do some testing, messing around with builds, figuring out the other Insignia bonuses and what's best to stack. Like right now on DPS with module 24, you can see I was just using 2 warlords, artificers, and 2 assassins. And I might just stick to this anyway, but maybe I switch 1 assassins over. But it's still really valuable to have like 500 to each of your offensive stats from a second assassins, and artificers is also pretty good. But there you have it. Again, with module 25, most likely we'll be getting a bunch of new insignia bonuses with some new mounts. So you might want to save keys, I don't know, for the next lockbox that might have a mount with 4 insignia slots, giving you the ability to slot one of these bonuses, most likely being able to like leave out 1 insignia to gain these other bonuses. Who knows? But for tanks, there's some definitely decent options here. And then in the new zone, you'll be able to go and farm some new insignias as well if you wanted to. I don't really see it as much of a big deal, but you most likely will be able to sell these as well. So they'll probably sell for a bit, and they can help with stat optimization. Just they are a bit of a grind and capped at like 2 per week per character. So hopefully this is somewhat insightful. Again, Warlord Inspiration fixed, you can stack up to a maximum of 3 of them for a 13.32% damage gain to your companion. Massive thank you to all of these channel members for their added support. We'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.